We have heard the same tale for more than a century. On April 14, 1912, at 11:40 p.m., the RMS Titanic, the biggest and most opulent ship of its era, struck an iceberg and perished tragically. More than 1,500 lives were lost when the magnificent ship disappeared beneath the icy Atlantic Ocean at 2:20 a.m. on April 15th. However, what if we told you that the iceberg may not have been the true cause of the catastrophe? Recent findings expose a startling new theory and cast doubt on the conventional wisdom. The Titanic was a feat of engineering, measuring 882 feet 9 inches in length, 92 feet in width, and 175 feet in height. Passengers could stroll for miles through its expansive decks and corridors, which had a usable volume of 46,328 tons. It took weeks for even the ship's officers to become acquainted with the enormous building. For a more intimidating look, its 4 enormous smokestacks, each weighing 60 tons and rising 81.5 feet above the deck, were angled at a 30-degree angle. At the time of construction, this floating palace cost $7.5 million, which is comparable to $166 million now. This is surprisingly less than the $200 million budget for the 1997 hit movie Titanic. The Harland and Wolff shipyard employed 3,000 men to build the Titanic, which took 26 months to finish. It was dangerous labor. 246 workers were hurt and 8 people died during construction. It's hard to believe that an iceberg by itself caused the ship's destruction, given the tremendous amount of work, expense, and workmanship involved. After more than 30 years of researching the Titanic's tragedy, journalist Sinan Maloney discovered a startling fact. He discovered a 30-foot-long black mark on the ship's hull by examining old pre-voyage photos, which showed that a fire had been raging in one of the Titanic's coal bunkers for 3 weeks prior to the ship's departure. According to experts, the steel hull's structural integrity was weakened by up to 75% when the fire reached extremely high temperatures. This would imply that the effect of the Titanic hitting the iceberg was significantly more catastrophic than it would have been in a typical scenario. The iceberg might not have caused such devastating damage if it weren't for this fire. Were the owners of the ship aware of the fire? There is evidence that they did. Fuel was in short supply at the time due to a statewide coal strike. A delay was unimaginable because the Titanic's voyage was already sold out and other ships had been cancelled. By arranging the ship so that the damaged part was out of sight at the docks, the owners chose to hide the fire damage rather than deal with the problem. The Titanic was designed to be luxurious. It had a 7-deck grand staircase, exquisite wood paneling, bronze cherubs, and opulent features like a heated pool, a Turkish bath, a gym, a squash court, and even a beauty salon. It was modelled after the Ritz Hotel in London. In addition to enjoying 13-course dinners, first-class travellers' canines received expert care in a dedicated kennel. However, in the midst of the extravagance, a conspicuous omission proved to be fatal: the crew's lack of binoculars. Second Officer David Blair, the only officer with the binocular locker key, was abruptly transferred. He forgot to turn over the key in his haste to get out. The lookout team had a far lower probability of seeing the iceberg in time if they didn't have binoculars. The Titanic was traveling at dangerously high speeds, far faster than was safe, despite many warnings about ice in the area. Delays may harm the ship's reputation, and it was running behind schedule. Its fate was sealed by this careless choice. About 60 lifeboats were needed on the Titanic to carry all of the passengers. For aesthetic reasons, to create a streamlined, uncomplicated deck, the final count was lowered from the 48 that chief designer Alexander Carlisle had originally envisaged. Only a third of the people on board could be accommodated by these 20 boats. According to maritime standards at the time, which placed lifeboat needs on ship tonnage rather than passenger count, this was shockingly legal. Even worse, on the day of the trip there was no lifeboat drill. For unclear reasons, Captain Edward Smith called off the drill, leaving the passengers unprepared. Because many passengers misjudged the danger and were reluctant to board, the first lifeboats left half empty when the evacuation finally started. The Californian, a nearby ship, did not reply to the Titanic's frantic SOS messages. Because of this carelessness, Captain Stanley Lord eventually lost his job. Modern research, however, indicates that he might not have been guilty. Thermal inversion, which occurs when cold air layers are trapped beneath warmer air, may have caused light refraction, giving the distress flares the appearance of regular ship lights rather than an emergency signal.
Check one, check two, check.
According to historian Tim Maltin, the lookouts may not have been able to see the iceberg in time due to the similar light refraction. If verified, this would add even another terrible link to the unfortunate sequence of events that led to the catastrophe. Before the Titanic ever set sail, was it doomed by fire? Was its demise predetermined by carelessness and cost-cutting measures? Or was it a series of unlikely coincidences? There is no denying that the Titanic sinking continues to rank among the biggest catastrophes in history, captivating people's attention and leaving historians, scientists and fans in quest of solutions. What do you think led to the Titanic's demise? Leave a comment below with your opinions, and please remember to give us a thumbs up if this revelation caught you off guard.